vanquished. Is SamuelTsao the next one?
He's going to change the whole name after that.
If only. But now we're going to get into another mirror. Well, sort of a mirror. Class mirror. With Priest versus Priest.
Well, you say class mirror, but it's pretty much a mirror match. There's very little difference between these two lists. One of the major ones to look at is that Tom has come a little extra prepared for this particular matchup. Warlock has been a big ban of most players in the tournament. In fact, of the top 8 players remaining, I believe there's only been 2 non-Warlock bans. And that trend stays true to this match. Tom has a copy of Lyra the Sun Shard and Gadgets and Auctioneer in his deck, where SamuelTsao only has a copy of Lyra. And if you remember back to the Summer Championships, that was really the first appearance of Gadgets and Auctioneer in the tournament Highlander Priest lists. That extra card draw that you get can really fuel you to a Raza Anduin draw very quickly. However, Tom already has Raza and Anduin, so a very different battle that SamuelTsao is going to have to fight this game.
Yeah, and the difference being, you know, Gadget and Auctioneer is there for matchups where you want to just draw through your deck as quickly as possible. When your opponent has a finite amount of health, where there's no real X factor, you're just trying to kill them from 30 as quickly as possible. Lyra's there when you're playing those matchups where you need a little bit of extra oomph. You need a couple cards that aren't in your deck. And we're talking about those matchups where your opponents may be able to gain some additional health, let's say Jade Druid or Big Mage. Lyra also has the added benefit of sometimes just, you know, catching your opponent off guard and giving you that extra ability in matchups that you may not have been favored in from the get-go. It's also just a body that comes out earlier.
Yeah.
And we've seen it sort of split up until the World Championship, where some players brought just Gadgets and Auctioneer, and some players brought just Lyra, depending on their feel and what matchups they thought they were going to run into the most.
Yeah.
So Tom basically has just a big advantage because he's got both of those.
Well, the one thing that is kind of curious to me is Tom's cut for the Gadgets and Auctioneer or the Lyra, depending on how you look at it. And it's that he cut Novice Engineer. And Novice Engineer is actually one of the, I'd say, better cards in this deck to end up having, just because of its card draw potential is so important early on. You know, you want to be spending the mana early to draw cards in these styles of matchups, not necessarily later. So that is quite an interesting choice that Tom made, and I'd be curious to know exactly why that choice was made. You exchange a 2-cost draw for a 6+ cost draw. I don't know about that, Teach.
Well, it's multiple draws, theoretically. Most of the time it is. So just playing a little bit greedier for that late game. But I'm liking the way Tom's hand looks right now. I mean, anytime you have Raza and Shadowy Brand in your hand, especially in the mirror, you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, especially if you have ways to fight off a little bit of early pressure. That does matter sometimes in this matchup, where you just get minions on board and start chipping away life total. Sometimes it can boil down to a race of that damage. You're not always putting together this giant amount of combo damage and killing your opponent from 30. Sometimes you both end up throwing your resources into the fray, trying to fight for that board position, and it ends up being just 2 damage after 2 damage over and over again. Sometimes you kill them, 15, 18 life or whatever. Wow. Oh my gosh. Tom is just, this is one of the best draws imaginable for this matchup, I imagine. I think.
This is the Highlander Priest starting kit.
SamuelTsao is facing that awkward pressure right now, where he doesn't have an effective way to really fight back against his board. Lyra's going to get almost no value in this circumstance.
He can play Circle of Healing to just get 1 card off Lyra and force some attention to it, but it would get eaten up pretty easily by just the hero power and the Arcanine Soul Priest hit. And so he's just going to go ahead, heal his face, and pass. And
he's only missing Mind Blast at this point. Everything's there.
Maybe Holy Smite to complete the
Radiant Elemental
package.
And you notice that SamuelTsao didn't play the Acolyte of Pain. He's trying to fend off against Potion of Madness being a big liability to him, but I'm not sure he's actually at liberty of making those styles of plays this game. It's just under so much pressure here. So maybe he gets the benefit of knowing that he has his Dragonfire Potion on this turn, and follows up with Acolyte and like Spirit Lash in a certain way. But I think I would have liked to see him play that Acolyte of Pain and just try to get a draw. Maybe even just soak up a hit from the Arcanine Soul Priest in that spot.
Yeah.
this really is a race to assemble the Raza Anduin combo in a lot of situations, even if you are fighting for more in the meantime.
Yeah, it's true, and you do want to protect your life total, but maybe he's pretty confident that he'll get multiple draws later. Say he draws Spirit Lash, say he draws Wild Pyromancer. Those are cards where you can immediately get value out of Acolyte of Pain without having to worry about Potion of Madness too much.
Yeah,
so.
it's a true story.
But right now, I mean, Tom's probably going to jam Kazakus next turn, fish for a good 1-mana potion that has damage attached to it.
Well, I think that could depend here as well. I mean, Dragonfire Go does give Tom the option of looking for, say, like a big Resurrect potion. In this spot, maybe he favors the 5. It's just with his hand being this good, I do believe he'll go for 1.
Yeah. I mean, that
maybe there's even merit to like Auctioneer Coin Power Word Shield at this stage.
Yeah, but you know, that 1-mana potion, if you get 3 damage, it effectively becomes 10 damage later on in the game with the Velen.
This is a big question, though. I mean, how would SamuelTsao fight off a 4/6 Gadgetzan Auctioneer in this spot?
He would have to Psychic Scream, basically, or just use a silence, a natural silence. And I think that's what's going through Tom's mind, but...
Coin is so valuable.
Yeah, Coin is very valuable. It's 4 damage later on with Velen, and it allows you to open up that mana slot for the 1-mana potion.
I don't think there's any way you slice it. That potion is pretty darn weak for Tom at the end of the day.
Summon a friendly minion and add a random demon to your hand. Now, there's a lot of cheap demons.
Fuel for the fire.
That's right. Tom just sort of picking the only options that really have an effect in this matchup. His other options were freeze a minion,
2 damage to the board.
Yeah. I don't even know what you do in this scenario.
Well,
I mean,
if I'm in Sam's seat, I'm feeling quite desperate. So yeah. I do like the Spirit Lash in this instance, and I think there is some consideration to just Holy Smiting your own Acolyte of Pain and seeing if you can pick up the right draws in the spot. He's just got a power cycle.
Looking for Raza, looking for card draw, looking for Kazakus. That's about it. I guess Curious Glimmerroot could, you know, find one of those pieces.
Tom he's really wanting to play this Auctioneer.
I got the best deals anywhere.
And rightfully so. I mean, this is a lot of gas that he's going to get.
I mean, he's at risk of overdrawing with the loot border, but at this point, he doesn't even care. And we got everything he needs already, basically, except for maybe the Mind Blast.
And that's the thing. When you risk the overdraw here and your opponent sees that, you're just going, oh no. I guess they have it. Like, why else would Tom risk this unless it's just a blunder?
At that point, SamuelTsao probably isn't even worried about that. He's worried about his own game plan, so he's probably just going to even push to Madness this loot hoarder to take the draw for himself.
I think he'd rather have the draw than go for an overdraw here.
Is there ever a merit to going for Fire plus Radiant Elemental and then Potion of Madness and try and keep that chain of spells going?
I mean, he's got Mind Blast, he's got Anduin. If he finds Raza, the Radiant Elemental and Mind Blast could be key for him in this game. And staring down the Auctioneer with Tom having 9 cards in hand, going 10 cards, maybe there is some merit to not Psychic Screaming, but that is terrifying. It's not a very good Psychic Scream. You just put a Kazakus back in Tom's deck.
The light has betrayed me.
Sam knows this is the beginning of the end for him because he does not have his own Anduin active. He doesn't have Raza active.
This is as bad as it gets, I think.
This is quite bad. For him to even have a hope, this would have to be almost exactly Raza, or the next draw would have to be almost exactly Raza. Now,
what if he Glimmerroots Raza? That looks like the direction to go right now.
In that case, I think if that's your hope, you want to Shattering Brand first, so that way you stick a board afterwards. Getting it out of the way and then hoping that either your next draw is Raza or Curious Glimmerroot gets Raza.
Well, hold on. Tom is he's about to put on a show here. Looks like 18 to me.
18 max.
Oh my.
Yep.
That is horrid news if you're SamuelTsao.
Yep.
Is Tom playing Pit Lord? No, That can't be right.
You play
I
Pit
don't
Lord.
believe that.
He does not need armor anymore. There's no Raza on board. You might as well just make a 5-6. But we can now say that Pit Lord was played in the quarterfinals of the World Championship. In Priest, mind you. And yeah, it looks like it's just too late for SamuelTsao, unless he picks up healing from Lyra. That's the only way he can survive, even just past this turn. And then he has to worry about the board and clear that, but he's got to go for Lyra plus Radiant Elemental and hope for a miracle.
Chain of smites.
A chain of smites, and then a chain of binding heals afterwards.
No, just 15 smites in a row.
Okay. Or a mixture of the two.
It's only like trillions to one, probably.
If that. All right, looking for a Holy Smite. Didn't get it. Looking for a Holy Smite. Oh, this could... Oh, almost. Not going to be enough.
I believe that's it.
Tom has plenty of damage.
So much.
Not all who want are
Tom's going to take a pretty quick 2-0 lead here over SamuelTsao. And that hand was just gas. Sometimes you got the goods and you're just not beating it.
Raza Priest, time and time again, players consider to be one of the strongest decks in the game, but when they get pitted up against each other, sometimes the stars align for one player and they don't for the other. SamuelTsao is now one game away from elimination.